Okay, so hi everyone, and welcome to today's Cerini Connection. I'm Ken Cerini. I'm managing partner of Cerini Associates, and I want to thank you for taking the time to be here today for some incredibly valuable discussion. Hold on one second. I just had the reminder pop up on my screen, so I apologize for that. Today, we are diving into a topic that affects every industry, no matter what industry it is: mental health in the workplace. Whether you're managing a team, supporting a community, or just trying to get through your day with some balance, mental well-being has become a strategic priority, not just a personal one. The data is clear. 81% of employees want workplaces that prioritize mental health, but how do we actually build those supportive cultures? And how can we prevent burnout, especially in high stakes, people-centered environments like education, human resources, and really any type of business these days, especially accounting, it seems. Um,
Hmm.
to help us navigate these questions, I'm excited to be joined by Tildet Varon, an organizational and leadership development consultant, inner mastery specialist, and certified stress mastery educator. A whole bunch of things there. Tildet has helped countless organizations develop practical human-centered strategies to support wellness, build resilience, and drive lasting change. So let's jump into the conversation. So Tildet, first of all, thank you for being here and thank you for doing this.
And thank you for having me, Ken. And thank you for bringing this topic from the shadows to center stage. It's such an important conversation.
So let's start off by kind of diving in terms of how prevalent really is burnout and why is it on the rise?
Burnout is at an all-time rise, really high. According to Grant Thornton research, in 2024, 51% of U.S. workforce uh, said that they experienced burnout, which is a 13% increase from 2023. I think 15% increase, 13 to 15% increase from 2023. And what's even more worrisome is in the more human centric industry where nonprofits, education, and human services, 95% of leaders are concerned about burnout, and 50% are saying that they don't have work life balance. So, this is really causing a lot of mental health issues and so I want to say that this is such an important conversation. It shouldn't be just a mental health awareness month. It's a continuing conversation that we need to have because it is prevalent.
What are the environmental factors that are driving this? When I kind of, I don't know, when I was younger and stuff like that, old now, but when I was younger and everything, I don't know, it just didn't seem like it was something that was talked about and maybe it always existed. It just maybe now it's just more open.
Yes, that's a good question. A lot of the stressors or the causes are excessive overload of work. Workload has increased, and then there's not enough recognition. People are not feeling that they matter, and they're just going and doing their work, and there's no appreciation that they're getting. There is limited autonomy, and also there are outside external stressors like politics and economy, the uncertainties, the instabilities, and also after COVID, post-pandemic, the stressors, everyone is very stressed, so it keeps increasing. And we're also, we may have had it before, although the statistics are showing an increase in them. I think now we started talking about it and it is coming to light. So hopefully this will help to start changing the culture in the workplace. We're at a cultural turn point. In the past, people wore stress as an honor badge. I'm so stressed at work, so I'm so successful, right? So we talked a bit in different terms. And now the workforce, the employees are saying, I am not willing to compromise my mental health, my well being for a paycheck. And we're seeing millennials and Gen Z coming in, and they want different things. They want mental health They want psychological safety. They want purpose. They want meaning. So the workforce is changing because of that. And psychological safety is really important. And I think that's why we're talking about it more, because it used to be mental health was a perk. Now it's an expectation in the workplace. And I think that's why it's coming from the shadows to center stage. And I'm very happy that it is, because a lot of people are suffering that where they don't need to.
I don't know if you know the answer to this question or not, but I'll throw it out. I mean, you're in a situation where more people are working from home than ever before. You're in a situation where there's a lot of blurring of the lines between work, life, everybody's connected all the time. To
Yes.
what extent is that kind of adding to the mix, and to what extent is that kind of creating
Yes.
that expectation that everybody reacts and responds instantaneous?
Yes, and part of that is also technology, right? We got into this habit of you take the cell phone, you ask Google, now AI, even faster, and you get the answer. And we're thinking that we need to do the same. So I think being at home, also you are distracted. Children come in, spouses come in, the doorbell rings, and there is, I think, overall, the information that is coming at us and the distractions coming at us have also increased. So we need more capacity, internal capacity, to be able to deal with these demands that are asked from us, but we're not taking the time to increase that capacity. And it is causing a lot more anxiety, a lot more burnout, and blurring of the. So I think one of the most important things we need to remember is our humanness. And we're forgetting that. We're forgetting that we are human beings.
So you've kind of talked a little bit about what's creating it and why, but what does it look like? What does burnout,
Yeah.
um, what does that actually look like? What are the signs that we should be looking for as employers?
Great question. So there is the physical, mental, and behavioral signs, and there is the subtle signs and the obvious signs. So in the physical, people are getting more ill. They're not coming to work because they're reporting they're sick. They have headaches. They have sleeping difficulties. They are tense. In behaviorally, they are making more mistakes. Their production have gone down emotionally and mentally. They're irritable. They're angry. They're sad. So these are all signs. Or someone is not eating lunch. They're not taking the time they need to take. All of a sudden, they used to come to work groomed and looking okay. All of a sudden, they are not looking like they used to. And it is really important for leaders and managers of people. They don't need to be therapists, but they need to recognize those signs so they can have the conversations. And the whole psychological safety is about normalizing those conversations.
How do you approach someone when you're in that situation where you think maybe someone is experiencing a certain level of burnout? Um, I don't know. I think as a business owner, yeah, you want to do the right thing for your employees and you want to be there for them, but you also don't want to be in a situation where you make a presumption or you kind of say something that they get defensive about. So how do you kind of approach this the correct way?
Yes, that's a great question. And it is delicate. I think whenever we speak with care and we're speaking from our heart, not with the intention of we want the outcome. We're more interested in what you're producing, but we're interested in the person and asking them, how are you really feeling? I've noticed that you look more tired. Is there anything I can do to support you? And really listening, not only just asking the question with care. Is there something going on? Would you like to speak about it? Is there something I can help you with? I've noticed that you were meeting the deadlines in the past. You would always meet the deadlines. In the last two projects, you're falling a little behind. Is everything okay? Are you okay? Is your family okay? Would you like to have a conversation about that? When it is not the nosy, or it is not with the intention, I want your production and I want you to meet the deadline, but with the intention, I really want to know, how are you? I really want to know.
Yeah, I think and what we've heard a lot is employees are looking more and more for that empathy, and they want
Yes,
to, yeah.
exactly. They're looking for empathy, to be understood and to be human. So as leaders, and that's where the vulnerability comes in, right? We have to have a mindset shift. It used to be, we thought of vulnerability and being human as something weak. Now we have to look at it as something strong. And if we normalize, with that load that we had last week, I also struggled. It was hard to keep up with. This is what I did. I took deep breaths. I went and I hugged my puppy. I walked in nature. Maybe normalizing it instead of just grind it through. You've got this. You can do this. Those days are past. We are looking for empathy. We are looking to be real, authentic, and normalizing these conversations. Who is not under pressure, not having stress? As a normal human being, you would. And if you talk about it, your stress load already starts decreasing. And if it is normalized, then you find hope.
Are there other things? I mean, you talked about empathizing, you talked about conversation. What other things can we do as employers to
Yes.
kind of help that situation, whether it be something we do internally or whether we do something externally?
Yes, that's a great question. And everything, I like that you said, as owners, as employers, because everything starts from leadership and trickles down. So as leaders, we have to be great role models in our self-care, in boundaries that we create, in the conversations we have, in the presence we approach things, so that everybody, it trickles down. So if people see that you do self-care, they will start doing it. If they see that after hours you're not taking emails, maybe once in a while you may, and it's okay not to take it, they will start doing it. And boundaries are really important in burnout, and presence is really important. Again, valuing people for who they are, not for their productivity. When someone knows they matter, they engage differently. And so those are the things. And one of the most important things is having little breaks and making it okay to take little breaks. And the breaks doesn't have to be hours, 5 minutes, 10 minutes to recharge. Our breath is such an important tool. Just taking a deep breath in, like some of the organizations I work with or schools, before meetings, we take a pause. And the pause can be a minute. Just breathe in. And let's all do it together. Like breathe in and breathe out. And just be present and feel your feet on the floor if they're on the floor. Feel your body so that we don't get into anxiety and we're in our body and we're present. And now I can lean in. I can lean into you to listen better because I'm not spiraling with anxiety, with fear. Taking that breath. And this is what leadership can do. And there are also things we're not speaking about, that I want to bring. Again, a lot of mindset shifts for psychological safety. For example, one belief is everybody is avoiding conflict. Well, we need to change that mindset. Conflict is the opportunity for connection and collaboration. And if we are courageous enough to talk about those things, then we are inviting different perspectives. We are letting people be who they are, and that creates richness. That creates different ideas. So if everyone is agreeing in the room, the leaders have to stop and think, are they not talking because they really agree? Or are they not talking because they're not feeling psychologically safe? And also, civility is more important than politeness.
So, got a question. I guess I got
Yes.
many questions from what you just talked about, and apparently other people have questions too. So, I guess the first question is, you talk about approaching an individual, you talk about empathizing, you talk about having that conversation to get them to open up and everything. But where do you kind of draw that line? Where is it in terms of probing versus that maybe going a little too far? If someone
Yes.
gives a little pushback to begin with, what do you do there?
That's a great question. And this is where I think we're lacking a little bit of training, right? We do keep the professionalism. And if we are really present, and if we're looking for cues, not only words, the silence, the eye connection, the energy, there are lots of cues there that we can pick up where we stop, where we don't stop. So it is really important. That's why presence is very important. Does that make sense? Like
Yep.
if you're talking to me and I see you're looking this way, I know I'm not getting to you, so I will end the conversation. If I see that you're leaning in, you're looking into my eyes, you're looking for more, I will continue the conversation. If not, I will say, okay, Ken, how are you feeling today? And you say, okay, and you're not interested, you're looking around. I say, okay, I just wanted to make sure you were okay, and end it there. But if I saw that you're leaning in, I may say, Ken, would you like to have a cup of coffee and talk about it? I'm here for you. Or just as easy as, I know, how is the workload for you this week?
Right.
Where are you needing help? What can we do for you? Things like that.
And again, I think, as you said, I think part of it is just letting your staff know that the door is open and that you're there
Yes.
and available. And if they need you,
Yes, yes. And asking for feedback. It's really important. I see in a lot of organization, transparency is not there. Therefore, people are scared to give feedback. We need to welcome the feedback through surveys, through anonymous feedbacks, in some form for people to tell us what their needs are. When everyone's needs are met, we have a win-win. But we cannot read minds or make assumptions about those needs. The conversation needs to be held, whether it's a meeting that we do to talk about these things, whether we do surveys, whether we get feedback, but without psychological safety, you're not going to get an honest answer.
right.
And that's why that is the most important, is restructuring that culture.
So as an employer, if I want to kind of build a culture of openness and everything else, I mean, I need to obviously prioritize mental health. I need to make it a something that's important and built into my model.
Yes.
How do I go about doing it in a way that the staff understand what I'm offering and believe in what I'm offering, as opposed to it's a gesture I have to do because everybody's talking about mental health?
By doing it, you just do it. You do it meaning it. You just don't do it as a campaign. You do it that you mean it. You become a role model. And when you're running meetings, you do tell them, okay, let's all take a deep breath. Like at the beginning, people may laugh, But then once they understand and they see the shift, right? Once they see the shift, they're willing to do it. And people ask me, like, how do you measure the impact of mental health uh, implementation and making it, prioritizing it, and all these things that you're talking about? There is quantitative and qualitative ways to do it, as to, you get surveys, you look at engagement, you look at presentism, absenteeism, turnover, and all of this, that data will tell you something. But more important than the data, I'm going to keep going back to being human. We feel when energy shifts. You walk into a room, you feel tension. You walk into a room, you feel satisfaction. And as leaders, as owners, as managers, we need to be attuned to that.
So a lot of what we're talking about now is a observation, a one-on-one sort of thing. How do you deal with it on an institutional level? So
By
you've
making
got
the culture. It's a culture where people are learning how to communicate better. We all think we communicate. Most of the time, communication is a monologue or demand. So how do we have communication to be that everyone feels seen and heard? They don't need to agree. They need to be seen and heard. That's the difference. And of course, that kind of communication will take another webinar for us to learn. But how do we really get rid of judgment and talk about observations, feelings, needs, and making requests more than demands? And then the culture starts shifting. Like, I was in an organization, there was a lot of demands going on, and a lot of people just, you need to do this, and then have you finished this, and get this, this is that line, you didn't meet, you met it, you didn't meet it. Then we started changing the culture, and they called it Tildetism in that organization, that everybody would ask each other, do you need help? How can I support you? Where are you with this project? Is there something that will help you with the project? So that started to become the language in the organization, rather than do it, oh, thanks. And even in appreciation, oh, Ken, you're amazing. So what does that mean? I'm amazing. Oh, you're great. People say, you're great. Thank you. That was a great job. We need to be more specific. What is great about that job? When you gave me that spreadsheet with all the details, I felt taken care of and I felt safe. That made me go on with my day with more ease and certainty that you were doing the right thing for me. Is that better? Or if I say, Ken, you're great, which one felt better for you, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
so
this is,
again, it's a matter of, again, connecting to the
yes,
work product in terms of better understanding of what you're doing well and what you need to continue to do, and then it kind of fosters that
and
behavior.
where you need improvement. But if I am telling you where you're doing great, then I can tell you when you need improvement. If I connect to you, you can hear me. If I don't connect to you, you're going to get defensive. And then we're not going to have that connection, and there will be no bridge for us to talk. Even if we have differences, but if I want to understand and I approached you and said, Ken, I am not seeing your point. Could you please explain it to me so I can understand it better? Then what are you talking about, Ken? No, we're not doing it that way. Right? There's a difference. Can you feel the difference?
Yep.
Yeah.
So again, I think some of it is, as you said before, it's going to be a shift in leadership
Yes.
thinking.
Yes.
I think a lot of us learned leadership from, and I've said this many times before, from baby boomers.
Yes.
And the baby boomer mentality wasn't always a touchy-feely mentality. So to
Exactly.
kind of get out of that, we kind of have to shift our way of thinking and maybe learn from the bottom up.
Yes, both ways, bottom down, bottom up, because it worked for baby boomers. So it worked for them, but the new generation is coming in. Their needs are different. So if we can all talk, they will take a little bit of the boomers and they will take a little of millennials, Gen Z. We'll all start blending in and learning from each other, connecting in different ways. If not, be curious about each other. And something great comes out of curiosity. That's what I believe.
So there are a couple aspects to your title as we went through your background. We talked about the fact that you were an inner mastery specialist and a stress mastery educator. What exactly is stress mastery? How do you master stress? Because I
Yes.
think I want to know that, so I'm sure everybody else does too.
Yes, I was telling you, I think we were off at that point, Ken. Now I can say it smilingly that I was blessed with so much stress that I became a stress mastery educator. At the time, I wasn't thinking like that. Stress mastery is recognizing, regulating, and responding to stress. Actually, understanding stress as a information knowledge giver. So you take the energy and the information your stress provides you and you use it for focus, for energy. So in that, you need to be able to recognize what is stress, what are my triggers internally. So the stress is when demand exceeds capacity, we experience stress. So demands can be internal and external. Capacity also, resources are internal and external. So if I understand myself, then I will look at my stress load and some demands I can do something about, some demands I can't do something about, right? I can maybe keep a better calendar, yeah, have a CRM and this and that, but I cannot do anything about the war, about the economy, but I can always do something about my capacity. When I do something about my capacity, my stress load will lessen. And what do I do about my capacity? And this is what we train people is how do we regulate our nervous system? How do we charge ourselves? I always use this example. We all have our cell phones and we're looking and we're going, oh, my battery, it's at 30%. Do I have my charger? I need to charge it. So how many times a day are we stopping and checking our own batteries?
So
And
I was going to say, so what are the things that we can do in order to increase, not only to recharge our batteries, but to increase the capacity of our batteries?
yes. First of all, I think it's unique to each person. So we need to know ourselves. That's where the inner mastery comes in. Knowing yourself. So for me, where I recharge is my breath, nature, if you cannot tell, all the plants, and going out, being in nature, taking walks. So for others, it could be exercise. It could be listening to music, dancing, be giving to others, right? That's why we all feel so good when we help others. We feel recharged, right? Mentoring others, mindfulness, meditating, taking a walk, having a gratitude list. The list goes on and on. You have to stop and reflect and say, what makes me feel joy? What helps me? Where do I feel really fulfilled and happy and present? And you start incorporating those things into your day. And it doesn't have to be long. We can do this in 60 seconds or less, just connecting to the breath. Sometimes just touching two fingers because it's bringing us to our body, sensory. This regulates our nervous system. Sometimes just feeling our feet on the ground. Sometimes just thinking of a great memory, a moment. Sometimes looking at a picture that's in our office on our desktop. Sometimes just smelling something that makes us feel good. All these things, and as you do them, you will know which ones help you, which ones don't, because what works for me may not work for you because we're unique and we're in different places. And again, also, if someone has anxiety and I tell them go for a massage, they will not be able to stay at that massage table. They have so much energy, it needs to be funneled out. And then they come out and they go, oh, I can't even have massage because there's something wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. When you are anxious, you exercise, you get that energy out. But if you're depressed and I said to you, oh, we're going to go now run 5K, there is no energy. So for that person, massage may be good. So there's different situations that call different tools. That's why we have a toolbox and we pull out the tools that work, and we need to learn which tools work for us best.
So as an employer, if I'm trying to reduce the stress in my work environment, if I'm trying to help people to recharge their batteries, if I'm trying to help people to reduce stress, what is it that I should be doing? What should I be implementing in my company? What are the key
Yes.
factors that, because not
Yes.
understanding that a lot of companies have limited budgets, limited resources,
Yes.
limited time. How
Yes.
do I go about doing this?
Again, it starts with you. You start showing self-care is important. You put boundaries. When it's lunchtime, you make sure you're taking lunchtime and your employees are taking lunchtime. If you don't take your lunchtime, employees are not going to take lunchtime because they're going to feel guilty. And they're going to think that they need to do what you're doing. If they don't do that, it's not going to be good.
It's funny, I feel the other way around. When my employees don't do something, I feel guilty. So
Yes, and it goes the other way around too, because we're people, right? So the leaders have to show that when it is end of the day, it is end of the day. The boundary is clear. Making sure that they are using their vacation time. There's a lot of places people don't want to use their vacation time. Or we're so busy, I can't leave now, I can't do now. Making sure that they are asking them about their workload. How are you doing with your workload? Is it good? Do you need help with it? Shall we look at it together? Is there someone else that needs to help you to meet the deadline? Or ask them, what would help you? You may not know. They may know. Or you can brainstorm together to find out. And when the meetings start, when you're having a meeting, saying, okay, let's all take a deep breath together. Or go around and say, let's do a celebration round. Just tell me one thing you're celebrating at work today. Well, I finished that project you gave me a day earlier. I'm celebrating. Or so and so that customer that helped with this, I was able to deliver. I'm celebrating. So that we start focusing on wins. We're always talking about what we didn't do, what deadlines we did not meet. It's always not enough, not enough, not enough, not enough, never enough. Where is the enough? So that I feel good about myself. So that is a conversation that will be very important. And recognition, right? I have organizations where they go around and they tell specifically what they are thankful for their peers, for their coworkers, and saying, it really helped me when I was, not at my desk and you answered the phone and you took that message for me. Thank you for that. And that is the cultural change.
you mentioned earlier things like massages and things like that. I mean, you hear and you're always trying to figure out what it is your employees want. And I know the correct answer is ask them and they will tell you. We
Yeah.
actually yesterday we put on the whiteboard, we have a daily question. The question we had up yesterday was, what is it that we can do for you to make your life here better?
I love that. Yes, that is the culture we want to create. And did you get answers?
Yeah, it was things like video game Fridays or,
Mm,
so I actually went back and I actually responded to every single one of the comments and I asked people to take responsibility for those things.
mm.
So,
See, that's exactly what we're talking about. You're modeling it, you're implementing it, and normalizing also at the meetings, asking people, how are you doing? Is everyone okay? Is there anyone that is stressed right now? Like, we need to talk about mental health like we talk about deadlines and metrics. Like, mental health is going to be one of the scorecards or KPIs, really, and normalizing that. If you're stressed, you're stressed. There's nothing, no stigma about it. If you are feeling burnt out, there's no stigma. It's normal, like metrics are normal.
so I understand that you want to make this a transparent process. You want leaders, or leaders should be, not you want, but leaders should be taking a proactive role in here in this. But a lot of times, leaders are busy. They're people too. They get stressed out also. How do you encourage your staff to come to you when they have a problem? How do you encourage them, if you're not as observant as you should be, to come in? And I can tell them my door is open, but how do I get them to understand that and come in?
Yes, that's a great question. And it will require some effort because it is not habitual, especially when there's a cultural change. There's some effort that needs to go in to make the change, right? Change is not as easy. We're going to fall back on our habits. So then, as a leader, you need to stop and say, okay, I've told my staff they're not coming. I've told them, open door, come in. It has been a month, nobody has come. So what am I doing that they're not coming? Either they're not believing me, or they're not psychologically feeling safe, or they didn't see anyone doing it, so they're not doing it themselves. So what else can I do to create that? So that didn't work. Maybe then you do it on a smaller scale, or you do an open office. An hour on Thursdays, I want to talk to you. And when whoever comes in, you celebrate that. You make it, because they're not going to come to your office because it's stigma, it is new, and why should I be the first one? Then you do it with those that are, there are some employees, change is easier for them and they will immediately do it. So you go for those to start coming in and creating this culture. And then you start including the quieter ones, or the ones that are more private. And you find ways. What would help you? How can we have this conversation together? I want to help you, but nobody is responding. What is not happening here? What do I need to do? Ask them, what do I need to do differently?
The important part here, though, is it can't just be lip service. You have to follow through.
Nothing can, and they have to feel that's coming from your heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, it cannot be lip service. You're right on. They need, and people know it. We know it. When we know when someone is coming from a caring place, and when someone is just doing it because it's good to do, because if not, we're gonna have low engagement, low productivity, high turnover, no presentism, and all these stuff. And I'm doing it because I don't want any of that in my data, versus I'm doing it because I believe in it.
Okay. So sorry, I'm going to jump into the business side of things again, and I apologize. And because a lot of
Sure.
what you're talking about is the personal side of things, which I understand that personal side is important. But from a business perspective, how do I measure the effectiveness of the stuff that I'm doing? How do I know that it's working? What are I mean, the nonprofit sector and businesses in general, they all focus on impact. What's the impact I'm having? What's the impact of the activity? How do I determine the impact I'm having in terms of everything?
You look at the numbers of turnover. See, if once you start implementing the cultural change and you start seeing it, you look and you start comparing. how many absenteeisms did we have, and how many do we have since we started this change? How is our productivity going? How satisfied people feel? Engagement surveys, right? And feedbacks. And that will all start giving you data. And I also want to say, because you have a lot of people in the nonprofit, person-driven sectors, nonprofit, education, and human services, we didn't talk about compassion fatigue. That is really important as well. We cannot leave that out because we cannot normalize compassion fatigue. People are so depleted and they care and they want to continue giving, but there's nothing left in them giving. So compassion fatigue is not normal. It is an indicator that there is some burnout coming in. So when we look at those numbers that I said, you're going to get data and you will know the numbers. And when we work those numbers so that everybody knows prevention, so bringing trainers in, taking some time, investing a little bit to change the culture, the prevention is a lot less costly than turnover and disengagement. And there are many numbers proving that are being done. Small, medium, large size organizations. Does that help you with the?
Very much so.
Yeah.
Probably about 20 minutes ago, you had mentioned about 4 times in the same sentence, you used the word boundaries. You want to talk a little bit about what you mean by boundaries and what role boundaries play in kind of the workforce, mental health, and everything else?
Boundaries is when it's lunchtime, I take my lunchtime. If I am working till 5 o'clock, after 5 o'clock, I don't take emails. When I'm with my family, I want to be respected to be with my family and don't call me, don't email me. If I'm taking vacation and you're still asking me about everything that's going on and I need to be interrupted, I'm not focused on my vacation, nor my. Those are the boundaries, right? And also, if I need a moment to breathe, give me that moment to breathe. That's a boundary too. And if there's psychological safety, someone may say, I really need 5 minutes. I've had a really difficult morning this morning. I will attend that in a minute, but let me take a breath.
Got it.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
If you could give one piece of advice, one takeaway, since we're kind of running out of time, to the people who are listening today, what would that piece of advice be, or that one takeaway that people should be walking away from this, kind of making as a top priority issue?
I know we want to talk about organization, and I know we want to talk about business, but I will go back to everything starts with you. Each one of us have the responsibility and the power to change the culture in the way we talk, we behave, we role model. So having a reflection and saying, what can I do here to help myself? And if you're a leader, yourself, and trickling down. If you're an employee, my peers, my coworkers, really taking responsibility and also normalizing these conversations. And this cannot be a 1 month thing. I'm going to continue with that. This conversation needs to be consistent, continuous, and every month we talk and normalize. It is like metrics, deadlines, mental health. They're all the same.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Tildet.
Thank you.
Love the way that you gave examples. Love the way that you expressed and gave us that insight that we needed. I didn't want to just say you were awesome, because I figured I needed to give better examples there.
You are very good as learner and implementer and leader, and I appreciate the leader that you are in taking part in that. Thank you.
It's clear that mental health is important in everything you do. And look, I really appreciate everything, and I appreciate everybody for jumping in here. And I know it's not an easy topic. I know it's not an easy subject, but it's one that's important, and we all have to kind of keep that in mind. Be sure to mark your calendars for our next Cerini Connection session in July. We will explore sustainability and social responsibility, driving impact for nonprofits and businesses. I'll be sitting down with Dan Drucker, founder of Philanthropy Fuel, for a powerful conversation on how mission-driven organization and businesses can partner to drive real, measurable change while also advancing their own strategic goals. Until then, stay well, stay healthy, and we'll see you next month. Take care, everyone. Bye.